again, everyone, and welcome inside the Adam Jones podcast from the Baltimore Banner. I'm Jerry Coleman. He is the former five-time All-Star Adam Jones, and today we have reached, AJ, episode number 57.
Ooh, not many people wore 57, but one guy did, Jake Arrieta.
Oh, yeah. A former Oriole. And speaking of former
briefly.
Orioles, we got one on tap today. He is the former O's closer, and the newly retired Zack Britton will join us coming up. Adam and I are also going to talk about the Orioles offseason plans. Do they have any? We hope so, because the hot stove has opened up for business. And, yeah, the NBA's wacky in-season tournament. We have diverse views on that tournament. And we'll also give away a final few Dunkin' gift cards in our Socially Speaking segment, along with some news on what's ahead as we move towards season 3. But first, our guest, as always, sponsored by the great people at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. He is the former Oriole and Yankee and the newly retired Zack Britton. Zack, appreciate you taking the time and joining the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, we wish you would have held off on the announcement by maybe a week or two, because you would have become the third former Oriole on this podcast to announce their retirement, following in the footsteps of the great Tommy Hunter and Nelson Cruz. So that's the way it goes. But what went into the decision-making for you to call it a career, Zack, and what a career it was?
Well, if I would have known that, I would have waited. It kind of had been planned a little bit. I had talked with Brittany Droley, who obviously followed the Orioles when I was coming up, and we've kept a pretty good relationship through the course of my career, and just got brought up kind of when I was working out for teams last year a little bit. I told her that I had been thinking actually about that for a while. She was like, hey, whenever you're ready to announce, I'd like to write a story about it. So that's kind of how that came together. But really the thought process after I had the 2 elbow surgeries with the Yankees, kids are getting older, and I knew I only wanted to play about another year or two. I told Scott Boras I kind of wanted to just go 1-year deals from here on out after my contract with the Yankees was over. And just one thing led to another. Elbow wasn't feeling great coming back, and I just knew it was kind of going to be a grind. Had some decent offers, but I had kind of monetarily, I had a number in my head that it was going to take for me to go play again and leave my family. And it just never really got there. So I stuck with what me and my wife had thought was a good number, and it didn't get there. And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty happy with everything I've done in my career, and now it's time to be at home with the kids.
That's awesome, man. Hey, welcome to the retirement club. Just want to say, like, did it just become to a point where I'm just tired of it? Like, for me, my body, I mean, you see, we played together, we grinded together, we killed ourselves for this game. I came to a point where I'm tired of this grind. Like right now, people are grinding right now, working hard. I played golf today. I ain't got to worry about nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it comes to a point where enough is enough. And did it come to a point that was like that for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a perfect example of it. I think like physically you almost feel this burnout. Of man, I've been doing this since 9 years old. And the one thing that maybe I didn't expect when I was younger and playing in the majors, and Adams can attest to this, would be it's a 12-month gig, mentally, physically, putting yourself in a position to be successful, because there's always somebody coming for your job. I mean, the game keeps going with or without you, right? That's what they always say. So you got to put yourself in a position physically, mentally, to be a step ahead of the younger guys that are coming for your job. So I definitely felt like there was a physical burnout after those 2 surgeries. Obviously, I had the Achilles surgery too, so going back through another, extensive rehab and then trying to come back and play at a high level, I just didn't feel like I was going to get back to that level that I wanted to play, and I wasn't ready to grind through it and miss more time with my kids.
So how's that transition been, though? I know you've been working out, getting yourself into shape, but like understanding that the next chapter is here. So how has that been? I mean, again, I enjoy it. Drop the kids off, hit the links, and enjoy it. So how has been your transition? Because everybody's transition is different. It's a very sensitive subject with a lot of different people, depending on their structure.
Yeah, I think it was easier because I had I had put myself mentally in that position to be like, I think this is it. If I don't get a contract that I like, I'm going to be at home. And, it was a little bit easier, I think. I didn't really watch much baseball during the season. Once I had talked to Scott Boras and told him that I'm thinking that I want to retire, and he told me to give me 6 months to really think about it, make sure that's what I wanted to do. And I kind of just, I shut off the TV. I didn't watch many games. Only when my son wanted to watch, a few here and there, and took some golf lessons because I never really played when I was playing baseball, and I just never really did. Played some tennis, been playing some tennis, which is mind-boggling. I never thought I'd play tennis. So the transition's been pretty good, doing all this stuff for the kids. I mean, they're busy, as you know. I mean, geez, my schedule is more full now than it was when I was playing.
And everybody, I'm telling you, everybody says that. The kids' activities, that's where it's the best. Like, you don't miss those moments where, every kid is playing on those Saturdays. You don't miss those anymore. Hey, what was your number? Since you retired, I mean, it's okay to say what your number was. What's your number? I know Boris guys are hush hush, all that. But what was your number? I had a speculation of like 11, 12.
No, it wasn't that high because I was coming off, like the 14 with the Yankees. So I figured, hey, man, I'm hurt. I'm getting older. I'll play for like half of that, like 7 guaranteed with some incentives.
Sure.
And
I'd take that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody would, right?
But I'm sure people like 3 with incentives to get up to with innings made, and 5 or something like that. Like,
yeah, I think honestly, like a 5 was like kind of where everyone was at, and then no one wanted to give me incentives, and I always felt like, man, if I'm healthy, I'm going to blow that out of the water,
right? Of course,
in performance, and that's just how the game was, and that's how they valued me, and like it is what it is, right? I can't do anything about it. I can't value myself. I would pay myself whatever, right? But that's kind of where they were. And I was like, man, if I know I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to perform, is that worth it at this stage? Because I only wanted to play about another year or two. For me to leave my family after you taxes, you pay your agent, you pay, the cost that whatever, renting a home, right? Renting a home in let's say New York. I mean, that's expensive, and all the other stuff, right? Flying your family out all the time. Not saying that you won't have any money left over. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, at this stage, I was fortunate enough to make enough money to where the money wasn't the driving factor anymore. Other than, is it worth it for me to continue to do this and leave my family and miss out on the things I had already missed out on?
So 12 years in the major leagues, 8 in Baltimore, just around 4.5 in New York. I presume you consider yourself an Oriole, but I'm just presuming that.
No, I do. I think at this stage, when you look back on your career and you go, hey, man, where was my best performance overall? And good memories. But I think that's who drafted me. I mean, I spent so much of my life in the Oriole organization around Maryland. So I consider that to be, I consider that area almost like my home and those people around there, family. Whereas New York, obviously, I hadn't played there much. The guys on the team are good friends still, but I didn't really get the opportunity to build, a long-term relationship with, I feel like, that fan base the same way I did with the Orioles because I came up in the minors there.
I want to talk about you becoming, basically when you got called up, 11 through 13, you were starting pitcher. 14, we decided to make a change. And I say it's crazy because I remember this day we changed Tommy Hunter from being a closer. We were facing Detroit, and Miguel Cabrera took him deep at home. And the next day you were closing. I remember. I swear, I remember that day.
Sorry,
I remember that. Sorry, Tom. I remember that day, and I remember he was like, "Man, that dude can really hit." I'm like, "Yeah,
I thought O'Day was going to be the guy. Honestly,
what are you talking about?
I thought O'Day was going to be closing. Honestly, after that.
But like, what went into that conversation of, first off, the transition to starter to reliever, and then not just reliever, you coming in the most important high leverage situation as our closer for the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, it started in spring training, with Brady, because I spent a lot of time with Brady in the off season, him and Rio out in California, and one thing led to another, and there must have been talks internally about, hey, putting me in the bullpen, and I think Brady had talked, and Dave and Dom, Dave Wallace, Dom Cheedy came out too, but Brady had brought up, closing, and I kind of laughed, and I was like, man, I want to be a starter. Like, I don't want to be a closer or a reliever or whatever. And that's kind of when it first got brought up. So when I got to spring that year, I knew that I was going to the pen, but a lot of guys during spring, Dave Wallace, Dom Cheedy, I'm not so sure Buck mentioned it right away, but Brady was like, hey, man, like Billy Wagner, like you ever watch Billy Wagner close or whatever? And I was like, man, I never watched closers. I want to be a star. I want to be Tom Glavine. What the hell are you talking about? Kind of thing. And he was just like, you're not going to be Tom Glavine. Like,
you're going to be John Smoltz.
Yeah, he was like, you're going to go to the pen. You can be nasty at the pen with your sinker and whatever. So, as you know, in spring, I just focused on throwing my sinker. And the velocity came up, and then started doing really well when that season opened out of the pen. And then O'Day was throwing really well, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to close. After Tommy had struggled just for a few. I think Tommy got injured, and then he came back, and he was a little rusty, I think. And Buck called us in one day and was like, me and Darren, it was like, hey, the next save opportunity is going to be one of you two, so be ready for it. And one thing led to another, and I got the call and kind of ran with it. And I think that's what you got to do, right? You get an opportunity, you got to run with it because you might only get one shot at it.
And
Sorry,
speaking of one shot,
Coleman.
Go ahead.
Coleman. Coleman, hold on a dot. I got to talk about 2016 because I know you know who did this to you. You're a closer. I know you know who did this to you. You had a .4 ERA. So I went back and really looked at the year. I remember the year because I got 3 fly balls that whole year from you. It was great, actually. 67 innings, 38 hits, 7 runs, 4 earned. So somebody made an error. 1 home run.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Britton.
You got to watch that video because that sinker was that was the last time I ever threw him a pitch inside for the rest of my career when we faced each other, and he knows it. I tried to go down and in on him, and oh my gosh, that's when I realized how fast his hands were.
Oh.
And he launched the thing, and I was like, holy crap. I've talked to him about that. I want to say one of the All-Star games. I talked to him. He's like, man, I don't know how I hit that pitch. And I'm like, I know how you hit the pitch because you hit that pitch off everybody. Like, you watch your own video, Yeah, Mookie Betts. I was shocked, too. If you look at my face in that video at Fenway, that was crazy. No, I remember all the home runs at this stage.
You were trying to stump him, it sounds like, Adam. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Oh, I know.
Well, of course.
Honestly, no.
Pitchers.
I mean, I know everybody that's hit a home run off me. I didn't give up too many, but I feel like when I gave up a home run, like they smoked it. I didn't give up like cheap home runs that scraped the wall. It was like guys got it.
Yeah.
2016 was incredible. I mean, 47 for 47 in save opportunities, 4th in the Cy Young voting. But of course, the non-appearance in that wild card game is something I guess you're going to have to answer about or talk about the rest of your career, even though it wasn't your decision.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially when I got traded to New York. I mean, that question came up, once a week, every, my whole career in New York. Somebody brought it up. A national writer coming in wanted to talk about it, or we're on a nationally televised game, and somebody wants to bring it up, right?
Especially with Buck there too.
Yeah.
With Buck having that tie, they just want to just pit it.
Yeah, and then he was working for the Yes Network before he got the job with the Mets, so he's around. So somebody always wants to talk about it, and Buck's not going to talk about it. And I don't really talk about it either because I'm not Buck, right? Eventually I'm sure he'll say something about it, or he might not, right? I mean, but it has been a question that stuck with it's been asked to me everywhere I've gone. I basically just kind of gave the same answer where Adam's yelling at me in center field to put myself in the game. I think at that stage, I think I heard a few times in Toronto, that crowd was crazy. But I could
run yourself into the game.
Put yourself in the game. But that was actually funny. If anything, I remember that. I remember Adam staring at me, yelling at me, and I couldn't really. I could read his lips because it's so loud in Toronto. And I'm like, is he telling me to put myself in the game? Can you? In my head, I'm like, can you even? Has that ever been done? Where you just run in from the pen, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Fan on the field. And they're like, nah, I'm putting myself in.
Cito Gaston didn't let me see it into the All-Star game, and he started warming up in the bullpen, but never got into the game itself. So
you imagine that story?
That would have been just like he runs out and be like,
it,
nah.
You put yourself in and you blow it.
We'll get back to our continuing conversation with former Orioles Zack Britton here on the Adam Jones podcast. But folks, as we wind down season 2, let's salute and let's support our loyal, dedicated sponsors, the majority who've been with us since day one.
Hi guys, Oriole Hall of Famer and ambassador to the Baseball Warehouse, Mike Bordick here. We are honored and excited to help support the Adam Jones podcast. The Baseball Warehouse has 4 locations in Maryland and 2 in Pennsylvania. We specialize in private instruction, camps, showcases, charity events, Badgers baseball, and one-of-a-kind events featuring current Major League players and Hall of Famers. Our instructors have all played collegiately and professionally, many of whom have reached the major leagues. Check out thebaseballwarehouse.com to learn more and check us out on social media. Also, make sure to check out Orioles Hall of Famer Rick Dempsey's Baseball Warehouse opening in Columbia this October. Yeah, it's October 8th from 1 to 5 p.m. I'll be there with many of my former teammates, and I want to see you there.
The Adam Jones podcast is brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Charm City's favorite crab cake destination. Local sports fan, experience the ultimate pregame party at the tailgate. Cheer on the Ravens with iconic live performances, an open bar, and mouth-watering eats. Can't make it? No worries. Bring the same food that caught the attention of the Food Network right to your doorstep. Shipping East Coast recipes nationwide. Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the official sponsor of the guests appearing on the Adam Jones podcast. And by our friends at the Weinman Company.
Your fun awaits at Hollywood Casino Perryville. Feed the whole crew with something for everyone, from cheesesteaks to crab cake sandwiches. Plus, ask how you can get a $15 dining credit. Get in on the gaming action with the hottest slots and your favorite table games like blackjack, roulette, and poker. Free live shows every Friday and Saturday. Plus, become a Penn Play member and get up to $250 in rewards. Come experience non-stop fun and excitement only at Hollywood Casino Perryville.
The Adam Jones podcast is brought to you by Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction, like leak investigation, framing, trim carpentry, insulation, drywall, painting, wallpaper, flooring, masonry, waterproofing, paving, tree removal, and much more. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. By G-Leaf Medical Cannabis Only. Visit gleaf.com. Medical cannabis is for qualified Maryland patients only. The Adam Jones podcast is brought to you by Royal Farms. Download the Royal Farms app from the Apple App Store or Google Play today. New Royal Farms Rewards members will get a free any-size cup of Royal Farms award-winning coffee just for signing up.
You know, it takes a lot of hard work to be a professional football kicker. I would know. I am a professional football kicker. So when I need the energy to get through a tough practice, I get a cup of coffee from Royal Farms.
Try those beans.
Royal Farms' new coffee machines grind fresh beans and brew them for a perfect cup every time. It's the freshest coffee in the world, and just the kick I need.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
By Jack Daniels, 2 legends, 1 can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Yes, that's true. Jack Daniels Tennessee Whiskey, mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, are now both available in a can. 2 legends, 1 can. Jack and Coke, ready to drink? Please drink responsibly. Whiskey specialty, 7% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniels Tennessee Whiskey, Lynchburg, Tennessee. And a reminder, if you guys are enjoying this podcast, make sure to check out the Baltimore Banner at thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ to get started.
Now, let's get back to Zack. It's Zack Britton, exclusively on the Adam Jones podcast.
Hey, here's my thing about that. I've been told many people about this. In that wild card game, I think we matched perfectly against each other. They had Liriano, who's a starter. At this point, he's a reliever. You can run him out 50 pitches. You, at that point, you still have the starter background, but you throw a sinker. You can go 50 pitches. You can go 2 to 3 innings. This is when the game is going to happen. The game is going to happen in the 10th, 11th inning. Now, if we stretch past this, they're going to go with another starter. We're going to go with another starter. That was my only thing about how that should have happened. That's why I was yelling at you, like, get in the game. Like, once O'Day was out, like, you got to go. Like, that's my only thought that I had with that is we have the best chance to score in extra innings is the 10th and 11th. And when you have 2 guys, they had a guy who can throw 50. We have a guy who can throw 50. Let's go. but we didn't do. We used another guy.
You're probably right because
but at the same time, he got us. I can't disrespect you, Baldo, because he got us to that point. He was 7-1 in the second half. He shit the bed. I'm gonna say that for 3.5 years of that contract. Everybody knows that. But for the second half of 2016, he was 7-1 and got us to that. We were in a wild card game because of him.
Yeah, no, he was really good at the end of the season, and we had just gotten done. We played the Blue Jays, then went to the Yankees. So I mean, the previous series. I mean, my memory could be bad, but the previous series before we played the Yankees against the Blue Jays was pretty tight. I mean, we were playing like 1-run games. I feel like I threw almost every game in Toronto. So we had just came up playing them, and I think Ubaldo had thrown pretty well. But like you said, I mean, playoff games are a coin flip. I mean, I don't care how good you think you are or what your record is previously against that team. I mean, the playoffs are crazy. So if you get a chance to win, I think you got to almost like go for the throat a little bit. And like I said, I had been warming. I think I warmed up for like 2 innings, so I was ready to go. I'm not really sure. I mean, Buck had this thought process that most of the time worked out. I mean, it really did. And I just think that he stuck with hey, this is like my game plan, and it didn't line up, and he didn't pull the trigger on it, and that's how he managed. So. I wasn't necessarily surprised that I didn't pitch. I mean, I was frustrated, and I think everybody was, but I wasn't necessarily surprised because there's something that he saw that he didn't like. He didn't think that was my situation. He thought that was Ubaldo's.
You think if your brother were managing the team, it would have been different? I don't know. I mean,
I would have yelled at him. I would have yelled at my brother. I would put myself in the game. I would have called down.
He was playing.
I would have called down and been like, hey, Buck, I'm coming in. So,
different Buck we're talking about. What's it like to have a sibling as a manager right now in the Orioles organization? He's been there for a while, but that's kind of cool to have a different role for him than being a player.
Yeah, I think he's done really well as a manager. He just relates to the player now really well. These guys that are coming up and making their impact in the big leagues, he relates to those guys really well. He's got a good baseball background as a guy, kind of a grinder type player. He can play you played every position, utility guy. So I think he relates with, all the different positions. But he communicates really well. And that's what you got to do as a manager in general. I don't care where you are, in what level. You got to communicate well with your players. But they also got to respect you. They got to respect that not only, hey, is this guy a good guy and I like him, but at the same time, I respect him as my manager. And when he speaks, I'm going to listen. And he just kind of carries that respect with him around with the players. And you hear it from the guys, especially up in the big leagues now, those young players with the Orioles, they speak highly of him. So I think he'll be in the big leagues coaching at some stage. And that's tough too. And those jobs are hard. There's not a lot of those jobs. I mean, sometimes it's who you know. And hopefully he gets an opportunity. And, hopefully it's with the Orioles, honestly. That would be great. But if not, I think he'll get a coaching job here in the big leagues.
How has he spoken about the transition, the rebuild? Because obviously he's been coaching since the entirety of it. We talk about only the major league side of it. We don't get to talk to a lot of the minor league coaches at all. But how has he been, going through it with he's getting prospect after prospect. He just won the championship in AAA. Like, his success is the major league success. Like, it's trickling down. So how has he been dealing with this plethora of talent now and just plentiful in the organization?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that he always would tell me is, when we were coming in the minors, well, you came up with Seattle, so you didn't see how bad.
Didn't see that.
It was and I didn't realize it either, right? When you're coming up, you're just like, whatever, this is like every other minor league system. But we just didn't have the depth when I came up. And that's the one thing he says now that he's been coaching with what Elias has done. And I don't know Elias, at all, but, he had a good reputation, I think, of player development coming in. And that's, my brother said, the talent, it's the depth of guys. You're not just talking, obviously they have number one prospects, but there's some guys coming in that, people aren't talking about either. They say, hey man, these guys are really talented. And like, I'm drawing a blank on one of their names. So it was one of the young hitters that came up third base, I think, this year, especially kind of under the radar. Man, I'm blowing it right here, I think, on this.
Ramos. Don't worry. There's
No.
the Arias.
No, let me think. Let me get through this.
There's a lot of kids.
I
There's
can't.
a lot
You
of
know,
guys.
I just tried to name drop and then I don't know the name, so that's not good. This is what happens when you take like a year off and you don't want.
Sorry, we can edit this.
Cool. Yeah, you can edit this one real quick because I'm gonna have to go through the roster real quick. His last name started with a W. He's a Boris guy too.
Westberg.
Yeah,
Jordan Westberg.
but
Jordan
like
Westberg.
starting the year, he wasn't like the top guy, right?
No, he wasn't. Then he just turned into
Right.
he was I think he was probably 12th or 13th prospect. And
Okay, right. Which is
Found
not
himself
great
in the
for
major
an
leagues.
organization, right? You know.
no, I mean when you got all these guys, I think top 25 is in the ballpark of
Right.
I think they have a future for you. But he put himself on the scene, and you know what? People compared him to JJ Hardy in terms of he don't wear no batting, he don't wear nothing. He just shows up to work and just a lumberjack. Let me do what I need to do and do the dirty work and
Right.
just plays great defense, timely hitting like JJ was. And he
Yeah.
ain't got as much juice as JJ.
No.
JJ had juice. JJ had some juice. Let's respect
People
JJ Hardy,
forget that
okay?
JJ could he had some pop
Juice.
before his back. started
Don't come
popping.
inside. Yeah. Before that back started to give him problems, he had some juice.
Right. So that's a guy my brother had been telling me about. He's like, man, this guy's a grinder. This guy's got the hit tool, He's just a little bit raw. But once he gets polished, and then I had heard his name elsewhere, and he wasn't the guy. Everyone talked about, Gunnar Henderson, right? He got the number one prospect tag in baseball, I think at the halfway point at one stage. So from that standpoint, my brother's been talking about the depth. There's some guys that maybe you haven't heard of, but he's got them on his radar. Like, hey, I watched this guy, and maybe some people are overlooking him right now because when you look at the analytics, maybe it doesn't scream out, stud, right? And that's the thing with the analytics at times is it can miss it. I guess, like when you evaluate somebody just based on that and you don't watch them every day, sometimes you miss a little bit, right? Now, analytics can really help you find like a diamond in the rough too, though. It can work both ways. But sometimes there's these guys that you see, like it's just a baseball player, and analytics can't find you just like a baseball player based on like watching, right? It'll find exit velocity and all this other stuff. We can go down that rabbit hole too. But my brother has a couple of those guys. He's like, hey, man, I've just been watching this guy, and he works hard, and he's going to figure it out. And you're going to see him like pop up on the scene here in a second. So he's been saying that quite a bit about how the Orioles have developed guys. It's not just going out and getting the number one draft picks. It's been signing some really good raw players and turning them into good baseball players.
I like that, man. Before I let you go, man, you've been awesome. Thanks for your time, retired man. You got nothing but it now. What's the plan for you? What's you think the immediate future holds? Kids activities, golf, travel.
Yeah. Golf, definitely travel. There's definitely a lot of places I want to go see traveling.
Use Audi. Access loves you travel.
Yeah, right. I need to tell my wife.
Our trips are sick.
Yeah, they look sick. I need to get on that. But I've talked to a few guys. I remember talking with CC. You guys are good boys. And I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come into the clubhouse all the time. Like, how is it? And he's like, I should have done this sooner. That was his thing. Right? And so CC, when you hear a guy like that, and he's been awesome. I've been able to talk to him a lot about stuff. So I'm not so sure like what I want to do. I think if I went into the game, and you probably feel the same way too, I feel like I could offer a lot to a team, but I don't necessarily want to coach. I'd like a front office position. You're starting to see former players get these GM roles. I'm not so sure like I want a GM role right now or something like that, but you're seeing some guys, Chris Young just won a World Series. I think we bring a lot to the table from both perspectives. Like we understand the analytics, right? We understand, playing the game and what that entails. So I would like to help build the team. I'm not sure I would want to coach, but I would love the opportunity to maybe build a World Series caliber team, obviously with other great people. But I'm not so sure that's in the immediate future. Right now it's going to be about the kids.
I just seen Chris Young and his staff while I was at the World Series, and he has great guys on his staff. I've seen Nick Hundley, one of our former catchers. Kinsler's on his staff. he has a lot of former players, but he also has the mix of the analytics side. They do both. I mean, you think he's Princeton is
Yeah.
Chris Young.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the brightest minds in the game, but he also understands the value of having guys who've been around it and understand the game at that level. And, that's the same way I want to do it, is be somewhere where you can help. It's not about the money these days. It's about being in an organization, being around, being to help these youths fulfill their dreams. Again, there's somebody whispered in somebody's ear to tell you to go to the bullpen. Somebody told me to go to center field. Sometimes, in that player's mind, I was thinking, hey, I want to be a shortstop. Like Kirby said, I'll be playing in Mexico. Okay, I would have been the Black Jake Taylor for real. You know what I'm saying? Moves like that, like we don't think about that, but somebody said it along the lines like, damn, this guy might be good in the pen. And I've said this about guys like, you know what, he might be really good in the pen. He might just tick up velocity to other guys. And, that's sometimes that's the path that it works. You made a lot of money being throwing that damn sinker. Right. You might not, that path might have been longer by being a starter. So, a lot of people
you need a blend. I mean, you're right. You have to have the blend of, like, I don't care what anybody says. I've been watching the game. You've been watching the game for a long time, been playing. And how many times did we play where somebody was like, I reinvented the wheel, I figured it out, right? And then the game evolves, right? So, the shift and all this other stuff, right? Like, the game evolves as you go. Analytics evolves. It's never 100% one way or the other. It's a good blend. And like with New York, they were heavy into biomechanics, analytics, right? They got heavy into that. So I got a taste of that because it came from the Orioles, where we didn't do that, right? We didn't have those analysts at the time. I think we might have had one. And, so you do your own research. You create your own scouting report. I have to watch video. I don't have somebody just uploading it to my iPad and then like all the other data. Like, God, I could get like anything I ever wanted. Sometimes like you don't want it. But like you said, like Chris Young, I think those guys, I saw Chris Getz got the GM job with the White Sox. He hired like Paul Yanish is their farm director now. Remember Paul? So like
great baseball guy.
Yeah, they're hiring good, smart guys that you have to be willing to do both. Like you can't, like there might not be any room in the game anymore for a guy that's like, I'm just old school baseball, right? You gotta understand the analytics because it is a useful tool if you can filter out the noise, right? Just like 100%. Anything.
Yeah,
you just got to be able to filter out the noise
and a time for it. I think we all agree with that. I know Adam's not a huge fan of it.
Yeah,
both.
The Orioles are using it. The Rangers use it like to an extent. I think from what I've heard, I don't really know because I know guys over there. But like Bochy's he's a good manager though too. He's gut guy. He's like, hey, I've watched this situation happen how many times, and like it's like anything. The more experience you have, the more you can adapt on the fly. And I'm sure Bruce Bochy doesn't just go, I don't look at analytics. I'm sure he does his own research too, just like Buck Showalter did. He kept that little black book in the dugout.
100%.
I'm not 100% what he wrote in there, but when I was hurt from my Achilles, I like hovered over him because I was like, man, O'Day was like, you got to find out what he writes down. And I want to say he kept track of the strikeouts, walks, and some other stuff, like stuff that like he's like, I need to remember that. But definitely, I think walks and strikeouts. But man, that's the thing we got to ask him. You got to get him on the podcast and ask him about what the heck he wrote down.
We had him on before, but we got to dig into what's in Buck's black book.
Like his little back, because I think it's like he was doing analytics in his own way. And that's the one thing. Like when people, he's an old school manager. I'm like, I don't believe that one bit. I really do think that he used like obviously what he had at his disposal, but in the game, he kept track of the things that like we value in the game now, on base and strikeouts and walks, like and other things. But he put stock in that stuff, just like we do today.
Hey Zach, we really want to appreciate you and thank you for taking the time. It was our privilege to have you on. Learned a lot in just listening to you. Even though your brother's the manager, it sounds like you have managerial capabilities. One of these days.
Shot.
If you want to go down that road, it sounds like you don't. You should go down the Adam Jones road of luxury and relaxation.
Right. Yeah, you bet. It sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we'll get you on again, and you enjoy your off season with the family, please.
Enjoy, brother.
Yes. All right, guys.
All right. There you go, Zack Britton. And Adam, I mean, Obviously, a tremendous career, a two-time All-Star, one of the game's better relievers for more than a half decade. It's a shame he had to leave the Orioles, but money called. But the guy racked up over 150 saves, an ERA just above 3. He was pretty lights out when he was out there and had a single run.
Yeah, he had 4 dominant years. And again, just like, injuries just slowed it down towards the end. But man, when I told you that, I think in 16, I think I had 3 fly balls. We can do research if we want to, but I remember when he came in the game from 14 to 16, when he came in the game, I knew that the game was over with, and he was dominant. But again, like I tweeted out when he announced that he was retiring, like he was just a great teammate. Like he always spoke. He spoke like he just spoke up. He wanted to win. You know what I mean? Like although he's the closer, and the closer controls very little in terms of, the closer controls 3 outs. That's it. What you can control. He was vocal and like, hey guys, we got to win. We want to win. And he was a winner. And he was a hell of a teammate. Now, hopefully we can meet up on the link somewhere.
Yeah. And just like you, very accountable after the game, would always be by his locker, good or bad. So much respect for Zack Britton. Wish him all the best going forward. All right, let's move along to our For the Bird segment. It's presented by our friends over at the Baseball Warehouse, where they teach baseball the correct way, whether it be from Mike Bordick or former Oriole Rick Dempsey. Who knows? Maybe you'll see Adam Jones out there one of these days, coming soon in 2024. Now, as far as the Orioles, and I do want to get into the Ravens, who are in their bye week in great shape, but we've discussed it briefly. But since we will not talk until spring training, when season 3 begins in February, just before spring training in sunny Sarasota. What are the Orioles going to look like? Because it seems like, and we were talking about this with Zach to a degree, they got a logjam, not only in the outfield, but in the infield.
They have a ton of prospects. And again, it's a great problem. Let's not say it's a bad problem. It is a great problem. So they can afford, again, this is their cash. They can afford to trade people. Again, I'm not a general manager. I think this is everybody's consensus outside. Just the consensus is when you have a lot of prospects and your major league team is really good, you've been drafting well, you've been producing well. That means you can reproduce well. You can unload a couple guys to get maybe a guy or two to put you over the edge. Again, there's a long way to go. Winter meetings are approaching.
Yep.
So that is the mecca of deals, and I think that's where a lot of people get the feeling of where everything is going to happen and what can happen, what can take place. The big guys maybe get off the board with the Otanis and the Yamamotos, the Bellingers. I think once the bigger names get off the board and you kind of see the tiers. Otani, obviously, I think he's going to maybe wait, but you never know. Yeah. I think a team is just going to have to understand what he has to do with his elbow, and with these state-of-the-art doctors. And that bat, it'd be all right. So I just think that it's going to take time. And, the beauty of it is you have until opening day. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. I think see what the Yankees do. Obviously, with them in Boston losing, they're not happy. So they're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to flex their muscles on the Orioles, on the Rays. So let's see what can happen.
Did they add a veteran starter for more than what they paid Jordan Lyles or last year Kyle Gibson, who is now left for free agency to St. Louis?
Like a Jordan Montgomery. I think the Evaldi. Again, this is all guessing. I think that starter number is the 10 to 15 range per year. I seen Maeda got a 224. I don't know if Maeda was fit for that team. Contact pitcher who's giving them tanks. So I know there's guys out there. It's just a matter of who. Again, when you have cash in prospects, you can go trade for people. Like a Burns. I don't know if Burns want to go through arbitration again with the Brewers. Cease, obviously, his name has been a topic of trade rumors for a few weeks, a few months, and going into the winter meetings. Hot commodity, very young and very talented, controllable for 2 years. So, there's options out there, obviously, from other organizations. You got Seattle. They have a lot of young pitchers over in Seattle with Gilbert and Miller. It just depends. And then again, Elias, whatever I'm saying, I know that Mr. Elias is 40 paces beyond me. But this is just a fan who's just watching the game from afar.
And just like you're a fan of the Orioles, you're a fan of the
Yeah,
Ravens as well.
very
They got
true.
the big win Sunday night in Southern California. I know the Chargers were a team you grew up rooting for, but the Ravens are now 9-3, Adam, and they're sitting atop the AFC going into their bye week. They're sitting pretty right now. Kansas City, I think, has hosted the last 5 AFC championship games. Ravens have never hosted the AFC championship. Both routes to the Super Bowl, as you know, came on the road. They have the opportunity this year. And as long as they, knock on wood, stay healthy, it seems like they're headed in the right direction. The defense has been superb.
There's just a few things. Well, the Chargers, they had a chance. Ravens defense is unbelievable. Tip your cap. Ravens defense has been unbelievable. I mean, they are ball hawks. They are aggressive to that ball. Their defense is flat out unbelievable, especially going cross country on the road. And I always say, when you go cross country, it's tough because your body is acclimated to the East Coast, especially playing a Sunday night game when your body is telling you that it's probably 10 o'clock at night. They did a hell of a job with defense. Patrick Mahomes has never played a road game in the playoffs.
No,
that's unreal.
It is.
So again, the Ravens, we can obviously argue too, we're blue in the face that they could be 12-0. But if they keep this up, and that Kansas City is gonna keep this up because their track record is maintained status quo. The Ravens are sitting pretty right now. I think if you get the number 1 seed, and obviously hosting M&T Bank will be live. We all know that. And that's against, I know that's the number 1 goal, but again, it's right now you get a bye week. They had 3 games in 11, 12 days. They get a bye week after a couple really good wins. And you know what? Let's go and relax and get yourself healthy. Number 1, especially late this year, you're going to get yourself healthy going into this final stretch of 5-6 games. And I think you can ride it out.
A wise decision by Coach Harbaugh to forego the bye week after the trip to London. They've lost 1 game since then. He waited until the appropriate time, which is now, where Odell Beckham Jr. can heal that shoulder and Marlon Humphrey can heal his hamstring and be ready to go when they play the Rams in a couple of weeks. All right, let's move on. It's time to head beyond Baltimore, where Adam exists, in Barcelona, Spain. This is our national, or in Adam's case, international perspective. And we're going to talk about the NBA's cockamamie in-season tournament. You and I off the air, folks. We've had some heated debates on this. A lot of this stuff we can't show on the podcast because it's a family program. But the NBA announced back in August they were going to put together this inaugural in-season tournament, which will see the winning team earn something called the NBA Cup. And players on the winning team get $500,000. On the losing team, they get $200,000. You reach a semifinals, $100,000. You reach a quarterfinals, $50,000. Now, I asked off the air, and I'll ask it on the air, does that money really inspire the top players in the NBA? If you're at the end of the bench, I understand you're motivated by that money. But when you're bringing in $40+ million a year, really, what is $500,000?
So when the guy at the end of the bench in the NBA is still making like 8. So it's a lot of money. Hell yeah, you motivated. That's free money. That's free money. That means that
$40 million a year.
And that's the contract.
That pays for multiple vacations and anything you need.
That's the contractor money. This is free money. This saying, look, we got an in-season tournament. So this is going on while the season is happening. It's not outside of the season. It's inside of the season.
Yes.
It's like put it this way. It's like winning if you enter a slam dunk competition and you win the home run derby. What's the difference? It's an in-season tournament. A home run derby is a tournament in season. You win that, you get $1 million. What's the difference? And these guys care. These guys don't donate that. Like, these guys don't donate that. I don't care. These guys, it's not about the average salary. It's a free amount of money. It's a pool. You saying, hold on, I'm making this money, but don't you saying I get $500,000 if I win this? Okay, Corey Seager's making $30 million. The pool came out of how much money they got, and it was roughly north of 500,000. He's making 30+ million. So should he be like, this is nothing? Let me give all of this to the clubbies. No, what they did is they gave plentiful. I looked at their shares; they gave a hell of a lot of shares, so I know that they took care of their clubbies really, really well. Which it's life-changing money to this clubbies. So I mean, they're going to take that money, but they probably give it away to to the people, their staff, and the guys that help them. But at the same time, hell yeah,
I just
you more than anybody, Jerry. You more than anybody know that anything more than whatever you're getting paid, anything that's more than what you're getting in a contract, you take.
But if I was getting $40 million a year, I think I'd be okay. I'm good.
You would take.
Well, they're doing this through.
You'll never be good. You'll never be good enough, Jerry, for that. Don't ever think that you win the lotto. You can win the lotto for 500 million. You win it for 500 million, and you'll still sneak off to go plates with napkins and hold it tight.
Listen, I love the NBA. It's probably my favorite league. Sorry, NFL. Sorry, MLB. Yeah. I love the NBA. I love the drama. I love the stars. But this to me is a big snooze. Okay.
Go Lakers. Lakers are in first place, Phil. I'm good.
We're good. They want another big championship like they did in the
Tuesdays and Thursdays. No, Tuesdays and Fridays. They had those are the tournament games. And to that comment, if the Wizards won the championship, what would you say to that?
I'd say it was phony. I don't care.
If the Knicks won the championship, if any team won the championship, it didn't matter. Their fan base would be like, hell yeah, since the Lakers won it, since LeBron won it, it's an action. No matter what LeBron does, he can't be good enough. And he's okay with that.
6 months off in a resort to get ready to play a couple of games here. I mean,
so did everybody else.
Right. But the older players had the advantage.
But was the stage even? He didn't get to see his family either. He got the oldest kids in the league. He's got literally the oldest kid. He's the only kid in the NBA with a kid in college. He's got a kid in college. He's got a kid that's a junior in high school. He's got he's missing the most out of everybody.
Well, this tournament can't end soon enough because every time I turn on,
as long as the Lakers win, baby,
and see that court, my eyes start to bleed. If that's possible.
Yeah. Some of them courts, yeah. Some of them is like just dark and then light.
I remember the first time it happened. I thought there was something wrong with my television.
Yeah, same. I was like, my hue is jacked.
All right, let's wrap up this bad boy with a sparkling edition of Socially Speaking. AJ, this is where we answer a tweet, or now known as an X. When we started, it was just known as Twitter. We've evolved here. It's X, it's the Gram, it's Facebook. You can find us on all three platforms. We're not on TikTok. At least I'm not. I'm too old. At Adam Jones Pod, at Adam Jones Pod. And these are all from Instagram. We asked, what was your favorite moment from the Adam Jones podcast over the course of seasons 1 and 2? First one comes in from Iowa Boy, 1981. He responded to our question, writing, quote, the whole year AJ and Gerald is the – did one of your sons write this? AJ and Gerald is the perfect blend of co-hosts. Keep them coming. Now, first of all, he spelled Gerald wrong. It's with a J, not with a G. But the only people calling me Gerald are your sons and this guy.
At the tennis court. Yeah, I was like, hey, but that's your name. That's your government name. You know what I mean? They should have said Mr. Gerald. I told them to be polite. You like Jerry or Coleman. So I told them just to go with a good, stern, firm Coleman.
One of my favorite moments the entire year is when I'm walking away from that tennis court. One of your sons, I don't even remember if it was Axel or August, yells, see ya, Gerald.
That's Axel.
Yeah, I was like, where did that come from? Like, you can call me Jerry. All right, next up is Axum Carson. There's a hyphen in there somewhere. He responded to our question by posting the live edition in Baltimore, and they were not the only one as part of their favorite moment of the Adam Jones podcast. Sass Nasty, number 7, agreed. He wrote, Adam, live at Soundstage was tight. Indeed it was. Back in mid-July, Aaron Hicks showed up. We had a tremendous crowd. The place was packed. The alcohol was flowing.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was a blast that night to be in front of a live audience. And then the Orioles went out and took care of the Yankees.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we were intimate with the people. You know what I mean? That was the thing, is being personable with the people. It was a fantastic crowd. Soundstage put on a hell of an event. The space was fantastic. The people that showed up, it filled up. I can't thank you guys enough. It was fantastic. Reggie did a hell of a job setting that up also. Everybody that tied into it did a fantastic job setting that up. And, hopefully we can do more of those in the future. I know a lot of people enjoy those kind of things. They enjoy being personable, enjoy Q&As, people like that. People want to hear our stories. So hopefully in the future we can do more of those because, being amongst the people is what I like.
I'm glad you mentioned Reggie. Reggie Fugit and Jackson
Yeah.
Dean behind the scenes did a tremendous job with this podcast as they continue to
100%.
do it right now. I mean, we hear from Chip Franklin from time to time, and Chip likes to point out that probably my least favorite part of this podcast was that pie in the face moment. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see it for the 1,000th time at least. And now we'll play it twice just in case. Again, there is a lawsuit pending on this, so I can't really comment too much on it. But the back injury remains, and I do wear a neck brace when I'm not doing the podcast.
That was awesome.
All right. That was fun. We do want to thank our major loyal sponsors, the majority who have been supporting us since day one of this podcast. Let's salute them right now.
Hi guys, Oriole Hall of Famer and ambassador to the Baseball Warehouse, Mike Bordick here. We are honored and excited to help support the Adam Jones podcast. The Baseball Warehouse has 4 locations in Maryland and 2 in Pennsylvania. We specialize in private instruction, camps, showcases, charity events, Badgers baseball, and one-of-a-kind events featuring current Major League players and Hall of Famers. Our instructors have all played collegiately and professionally, many of whom have reached the major leagues. Check out thebaseballwarehouse.com to learn more and check us out on social media. Also, make sure to check out Orioles Hall of Famer Rick Dempsey's Baseball Warehouse opening in Columbia this October. Yeah, it's October 8th from 1 to 5 p.m. I'll be there with many of my former teammates, and I want to see you there.
The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Charm City's favorite crab cake destination. Local sports fan, experience the ultimate pregame party at the tailgate. Cheer on the Ravens with iconic live performances, an open bar, and mouth-watering eats. Can't make it? No worries. Bring the same food that caught the attention of the Food Network right to your doorstep. Shipping East Coast recipes nationwide. Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the official sponsor of the guests appearing on the Adam Jones Podcast. And by our friends at the Weinman Company.
Your fun awaits at Hollywood Casino Perryville. Feed the whole crew with something for everyone from cheesesteaks to crab cake sandwiches. Plus, ask how you can get a $15 dining credit. Get in on the gaming action with the hottest slots and your favorite table games like blackjack, roulette, and poker. Free live shows every Friday and Saturday. Plus, become a Penn Play member and get up to $250 in rewards. Come experience nonstop fun and excitement only at Hollywood Casino Perryville.
The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction, like leak investigation, framing, trim carpentry, insulation, drywall, painting, wallpaper, flooring, masonry, waterproofing, paving, tree removal, and much more. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. By G-Leaf Medical Cannabis Only. Visit gleaf.com. Medical cannabis is for qualified Maryland patients only. The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by Royal Farms. Download the Royal Farms app from the Apple App Store or Google Play today. New Royal Farms Rewards members will get a free any-size cup of Royal Farms award-winning coffee just for signing up.
You know, it takes a lot of hard work to be a professional football kicker. I would know. I am a professional football kicker. So when I need the energy to get through a tough practice, I get a cup of coffee from Royal Farms. Royal Farms' new coffee machines grind fresh beans and brew them for a perfect cup every time. It's the freshest coffee in the world, and just the kick I need.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
By Jack Daniels, 2 legends, 1 can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Yes, that's true. Jack Daniels Tennessee Whiskey, mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, are now both available in a can. 2 legends, 1 can. Jack and Coke, ready to drink? Please drink responsibly. Whiskey specialty, 7% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniels Tennessee Whiskey, Lynchburg, Tennessee. And a reminder, if you guys are enjoying this podcast, make sure to check out the Baltimore Banner at thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ to get started.
Thanks to senior executive producer Chip Franklin. Chip is like that rash that keeps coming back, but we hope he comes back at least for another year. We'll have some medicine to cure any problems that go with that. Go out and subscribe to the Baltimore Banner. Until next time, Baltimore and beyond, keep it real And be kind and make sure to be back for season 3 in February, right after the Super Bowl, for the Adam Jones podcast. Be good until then. Stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, and we'll see you soon.